Happy Friday and happy National Leftover Day. Nice Thanksgiving Day yesterday. Keith, what are your thoughts on leftovers? Just wanted to get your hot take on
I
that.
just buried some leftovers last night. I mean, it was just, I was like a machine. Yeah, they tried to tease me, my daughter and my wife. They came back from her brother's and had a little plate. They took the top off and it was like a little dollop here, a little dollop here. I said, no. I said, I worked all day. You guys got to enjoy Thanksgiving. I said, you got to show me something. Then they just brought out the real plate.
And
heated it up real quick, and it was gone
down
in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dog was just sitting there. He was just salivating. I had to give him a couple scraps.
That's a crowd that appreciates leftover day, certainly. I will take that into consideration as well. Track is fast, and of course, no turf today as we're done with the turf season. A temperature mid-50s. We've got a little bit of rain coming. We'll see about that. A little bit of windy, so that's why we're inside today. We're kind of taking it a little cautious today. But let's go ahead and start talking about this Friday's card. A couple of stakes coming up, of course, and we will get into that. But let's start it with this claiming 20 for the girls, 5.5 on the dirt for the 2-year-old specifically. And you end up landing on the number 3, O'Shaughnessy, for Brittany Russell. Change the jockey to Javian Toledo.
Okay, I'm going to land on the 6.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at Tim Tulloch's picks.
I think you like Tim's picks better than my picks. I think that's the way it goes around here. Everything goes right to Tim's picks first. That's okay.
It does, maybe.
That's okay. Don't tell Darren is going to be my top selection. We're going to get the X-Man. They scratched the 1, scratched the 2 out of here. So the X-Man is left riding. Don't tell Darren. I think it's a mission just right to the front. She ran well first time out back in July. She had speed. They sent her. She kept on going. The buyer 49 tops anything in this field. And then all of a sudden, some issues early. She had some trouble in her races, but hadn't shown that speed. The blinkers are going to go on today. Go ahead and send. We'll see how far the 6 can go. She'll be way down off of that 5-1, though, I would think, when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. You also have a video spotlight on Alas and the Lag, who I happen to have in the top position for Hamby Smith, J. Ron Barbosa together, 25% together on the dirt, coming off of that nice muddy effort last time out.
Yeah, this was a good run, Callie. Off a little break from August 12th, October the 13th, where she closed, breaking that maiden, and she comes back with an improved buyer. Now, was it the sloppy seal surface? We don't know, but gather momentum, lost a little control when in full gear, right, turning for home, straightens away, and finishes up well. Only to be beaten 1.25 lengths by Condescending. So she's going the right direction. Does she prefer a little bit more moisture in the track? You'll kind of find that out. But when Hammy gets these 2-year-olds, settled in the right position, they usually tend to hold form, and they bring the finish. She's going to have, a little target in the 6. Don't tell Darren, but I think they would have liked maybe the 2 and the 1 both to stay in this race to maybe help set things up for her.
Absolutely. So Keith Fiesel 6, 3, 4, 5. I go 4, 3, 5, 6 in that starter. Early pick 4 starts in race number 2 as per usual. Keith Fiesel's got a ticket lined up for us. Ooh, you got a single today, Keith.
Yeah, we got a little cheapo ticket here for $12. 2 deep, 1 and a 6 to get you going. Fancy Grace C. Coal Mine going to be an awfully short price here for Brittany Russell in race number 2. Race 3. I'm not sold on the horses that have run. I think there's a firster in there that might have a little bit of a chance on the outside. I go 1, 3, 4, 7. Singling the 1 here, Cecilia Mike with Yom Ortiz for trainer Jose Corrales. A big effort 2 races back, maybe a little bit of bounce. We'll get into that one a little bit later. And race 5, wrap things up with the 1, the 7, and the 8. That's a tricky race, Callie. If you can afford to maybe add a couple more horses in there, do so. We've set you up with a good manageable ticket leading into race 5, and we'll go from there. But that's a $12 ticket. Add if you like. You may want to go a little bit deeper in that last leg.
Exactly. Just highlighting. Keith's highlighting in race number 5 is plenty competitive enough to add a couple of more than the 3 that he already had. So with that being said, let's start off in this race number 2, the 7 furlong dirt event for the fillies claiming 40. Just taking a look, we all land on the number 6 Coal Mine, as you mentioned, Brittany Russell with Javian Toledo taking the reins yet again. This is coming from Delaware to Laurel, but Brittany's usually do well from Delaware to Laurel anyway.
The old police song, Canary in a Coal Mine. Was that the song? I think so. Yeah, but Coal Mine is kind of just like an omnifig here, right? And they got away with running this horse for 16, first time out, no takers, gallops. up to the allowance wins. I mean, and right back here for 40. I think she's just going to kind of set up shop just outside the speeds.
Yeah, I agree. I think everything is just really set up for her as well. You do have Ride the Rapids on the outside. That's interesting enough. You and I go and land on the number 1 underneath Fancy Gracie, as you mentioned. Just the rail. The rail this is the first time we see this one on a bit of an inside post. The closest effort you have to that is 2 back coming out of the 3 position. But regardless, this one's going to be sending and has been able to take a little bit of pressure, which is encouraging for today.
Yeah, that is encouraging. She's going the right direction. They just opted, to keep this horse north, not to go south yet.
Right.
So maybe that's a positive. But her and the 6 both come off of Lasix. That's always the kind of the elephant in the room. I mean, how are these horses going to handle this? We'll find out. But, Fancy Gracie gets that mile work that Hugh McMahon likes to put into these horses. Barbosa, we know where he's going to put this filly. He's going to be putting her right into the race very early. But will she have to battle with Larimore just to her outside, who's also pretty quick? So that's going to be the key for her chances. But the 6th just looks like, attack mode, should be able to get a relaxed trip. Now, she switched off to her left lead, switched leads a couple times last time. Is that a sign? It's not a great sign, I can tell you that. But they might squeeze one more out of her, and she's going to be a short price. But Fancy Gracie, I like the way she's going. She's going in the right direction. Larimore with a big run last time. I was off that day, but watched the race. 2 moves in there, and you just kept on going.
Kept on going. I think we're going to get to see. That's going to be a bit more interesting. It's funny, we all have that 6 on the top, but I think that race is going to come out a little bit more interesting. But race number 3 is a maiden claiming 30 event, 5.5 on the dirt for the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Keith, you land on the number 3 Bourbon on the Bay. Jackie Savoy, Al Delgado.
I'm pulling for, the underdog here, right? A barn that doesn't, they don't send out a ton of runs, but put a lot into the game, right?
Yes.
And you're rooting for people like this. And I think Bourbon on the Bay, he's got a shot in here. Take Charge 2's got speed inside. He'll probably last a long way. He was part of a duel and held on well to a next out winner, ran a big fig. Glastonbury will be there kind of forcing the issue, maybe front dancer, a little bit of speed. But Bourbon on the Bay, a little tune-up, ran okay on the turf. This is it. I think 5.5 on the main track is his optimal distance where he can kind of make that one sharp run, say, from the quarter pole home. Just needs to come out of the gate, settle a little bit. I spy the leaders up front. I think he's going to get a contested pace in here and rally and looking for a little bit of an upset.
There we go. I like it. Keith, you got a stat on the number 7 Supreme Law for Ricky Silliman, Laurel Lee Glazer. Those 2 are teaming up for a stakes effort tomorrow in American de Oro. But what do you have for us today?
Yeah, turf season's over, and interesting because you look at the breeding bottom side, it just screams of turf. So you've got family, though. I looked a little bit deeper, some couple winners on the main track, and you've got Constitution, this stallion, who's pretty good, like 17%.
It's 18. 18%.
There you go. Even a tick better. 18% with the first-time starter. So using that, and Ricky Silliman, 3 for 11 the last few years with first-time starters on the dirt. There's an ROI 424. Good post to the outside. Just has to avoid that veer out. It's sometimes firsters get a little confused out there. Even experienced horses on the far outside with nothing to hem them in. But a shorter field in debut should be able to steer clear of trouble. Seems to be working forwardly. I like that 103 and then up to a 102 and 3. Out of the gate, the next work. It seems to be progressing nicely.
It's interesting that you take that outside approach because then you go right to the rail in your next spot coming from that Delaware effort for McGee. This one, it always there, always knocking at the door. But in the 5.5, I think it stays at the 5.5, and I think that's the biggest thing that's going to help this gelding out today.
He's quick. He's faced some okay fields too and just come up a little bit short. He battled hard with a couple other horses last time, did all the dirty work to escape with a short lead, but just couldn't hold off. And second-place finisher came back to run a 79 next time out. If you said, who's the horse to beat in here, I know Brittany's horse has been off time. The 1 is the horse to beat. The race probably should go through him.
Yes.
Would not surprise me if he breaks the maiden today.
And then we have, of course, Here and No Further, which we both keep underneath for the Brittany Russell. This is coming from Brad Cox, and Brittany Russell got quite a bit of time off coming from Brad Cox, but then comes over here for 10 Strike and Madacat. And Brittany's going to put this horse in the right spot, puts it in for the 30. This is the right spot for this guy today. So just kind of doing a wait-and-see approach, maybe looking for ones that are a little bit of a price. But you said it, the 1 is the one to beat here, especially at this distance. But again, Brittany Russell, 26% with a new horse in the barn. You can't leave her off the ticket.
She had a winner of this type off 180 days. A horse came in from Bafford's barn in California. Mauritius won at a shorter burst. Had a little bit better form, though. coming in than this
Right.
one. So this one really hard to detect. It was an okay field at Indiana. Obviously, the Brad Cox money is going to show there. So if it comes back, reported gelding, freshened up, it should be dangerous. Do you want to take that short of a price? Because I do think the money's going to come in clearly on the 1 and the 4.
I agree, which is the direction I go. Race number 4 starts the Rainbow Pick 6. We've got about a $5,000, over $5,000 carryover, but I've got a ticket that lines it up. And in race 4, I go 2, 6, 7. Race number 5, you go wide in that race. I hone in a little bit on Musical Cat, Red Wine Time. But I don't disagree with you that you can go a lot of different directions in that race. The race number 7, is race number 6 is my single. Bergie, we've got a video coming up on that one. Race number 7 is the start of our stakes action here for this weekend in the Howard Sandra Bender Memorial. Big scratches in that race, so I land on the number 5 on top, and of course I add the 2 and the 4. Of course, race number 8, you got to go with Feed Esprit, and then I just add 1 for a little bit of extra security. And then in that maiden claiming, in that last nightcap, I see that going a couple of different directions, so I just go 4 wide on that. A bit of a cheaper, more conservative ticket of $28.80. But I agree with Keith. If you're going to go wide in race number 5 for that start of for the second leg of the Rainbow Pick 6. And let's talk about the first leg, which is race number 4, a mile and 16th effort on the dirt in this starter allowance for the 3-year-old and up. And let's talk about, thank goodness, I feel better that your best bet is the number 2, which I also have on top. Or no, sorry, you have the number 1. Excuse me. I keep looking at Tim's picks. You have Silica Mike. You have Silica Mike. You have Silica Mike. We've got a video spotlight on Silica Mike. Let's take a look at that.
Cecilia Mike. Okay,
Cecilia
this is
Mike.
going back on the 28th of October. First time in the barn of Jose Corrales. It's 7-1. And man, I tell you what, this was a tremendous improvement, a 21-point improvement in Vier figures, and just rolls right on up to Anna Poison, a recent winner here with a big fig, and just gets the better of that one and draws off by 11 and change. We talked about the stat next time out, Callie. The one thing Corrales doesn't do a lot is win back-to-back. He did it with 110, so he fooled us with that, and we're going to see 110 later today.
That was an exception to the rule.
But Cecilia Mike last time out at the mile distance came away a little bit slow. Kept on willingly. That was a track that was very difficult to make up too much ground. So draws inside. One of the speeds comes out. I wish the 4 would have stayed in here, but I think there's enough flow in here with the 3. It's known as the burn, maybe Honor the Fleet, to kind of go out and set things up. We've got Ortiz. He should work out a very good trip from that rail position at the 2-turn distance.
Corrales 1 for 4, short sampling, but 1 for 4, third after the claim as of lately, so that helps him out a little bit. Now we land on Curlington, who you have underneath. I have as on top. This is Tim Tulloch's best bet of the day, but this one coming from these Penn National goes. But if Curlington was back when he was with David Mohan and then with Farrier, was getting competitive, is a competitive enough horse back here in Laurel. So I think with the way Hugh has been managing this horse and holding this horse's form, I think he absolutely belongs here today.
Yeah, he brought a starter in here that won up at Penn and came back and paid a pretty good price. Crush It, I think, was a horse that came in from Penn, and he's going to try to do the same thing. Curlington, a nose away from like 6 in a row, so he's been in stellar form. He's only had 1 try over the Laurel surface. I think he's a little bit vulnerable in here today. Yeah, you got a lot of things going. Figures work, Barbosa. Yeah, he's going to be an awfully short price, but when it gets down to it, if he makes that original move, can he sustain against the likes of Cecilia Mike if he kind of bears down on him through that final 1/8 of a mile? He'll be the favorite in here. He's going to be a short price. I'm going to try to beat him with this one.
Absolutely. Go ahead. And then you also have Shoot the Messenger underneath, and then number 7, Honor the Fleet, as you mentioned. So Keith Fusel goes 1, 2, 6, 7. I go 2, 6, 7, 1. Race number 5 is a claiming 16, never win 2 event, a mile and 16th on the turf for the 3-year-old and up girls. Keith, you land on the number 1, Early Rose, Charlie Frock, J-Ron Barbosa. We're coming now. This is one that's been really holding true. A couple of these horses that have been in somewhat okay. This one not as much, but if they're coming off of the turf and returning to the dirt where they've shown success on the dirt before, they really appreciate being back on that preferred surface. And so I can absolutely see that rail horse being your top selection today, Keith.
Yeah, this is a time of year where it gets a little tricky. You're talking about horses getting off the turf, races back to the dirt.
Right.
Some of them have good form on the way back. Are they going to bring it back today? We don't know. It's a bit of a guess, okay? In this race, to me, is a spread race. I've got the one as a lukewarm favorite at 4-1. As I always use like the word demand. You've got to demand a little bit of a price on anybody that you're going to select here. Early Rose, outside to inside today, has positional speed, has 1 to 2 turns. That's enough. Has held okay form. Has been trying on those turf races. The dirt races are good enough for me, and I'm going to trust in Barbosa to get this one up forward and last the trip.
There we go. And I also go with Red Wine Time on the top. Rudy Sanchez-Solomon with the blinkers on. Going to need it, but another one that's coming off of. Now, this one, this is a bit of a strike. I feel like we really do need to see the improvement. But with that effort back on the turf starter handicap on Maryland Million Day, made up plenty of ground. First time out. At the maiden 10 level, made a similar type of trip, get the blinkers on, get this horse rushed up a little bit more forwardly placed. You have Rudy Sanchez-Solomon, who's 18% as of late with that turf to dirt, certainly helps, and 12% with the blinkers on, 2 for 17, but I took a stab at that today.
Yeah, this is like a real just question mark kind of a filly here. The blinkers go on, the cheap pieces come off. They really reached for the sky, after that claim. There was no reason. I did not see that race, why you go in there off the maiden 10 into the beyond the wire. Now, what did that take out of her? She hadn't been seen, right? So March to October, hesitated at the break, reluctant to load. So there's kind of some bad habits there, but it looks like she's got enough talent if she puts it fairly close together that she can beat this field. We know she can get a route of ground. So, yeah, I'm going to throw her into the mix. I'll also throw in Go-Go Chanel. A couple of good tries, some tough trips on the turf course. She's only been on the main track once. That was back in April. You see that comment, sluggish, rail, rode the better part of the racetrack, but with a late bid. I know she can get the distance. You go to the second dam, she's a half to Nick Sko. We know Nick Sko can run on the dirt. First time blinkers as well on the main track might enhance the chances of Go-Go Chanel. I think she'll bring a little finish in here because there's some horses in here that are very questionable if they're going to bring any kind of sustained run.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And with that, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break and then talk about the rest of the card, including some of the stakes races that we have today.
We're ready for the start. They're off.
Welcome back for race number 6 is claiming 25, never win 3 a mile and 16th on the dirt. Keith, let's just go ahead and talk about your one that comes in off the AE list on top. That one snuck underneath me. Speak Unity, Jamie Ness, Jaime Rodriguez, they had 2 wins together yesterday. Again, the only thing that trips me up about this horse is that he's 4 for 38 recently from Delaware to Laurel.
Okay. This is a 5-time winner. I like that, getting into a condition for basically 3 in life. So there's one or maybe 1 or 2 other that won more than 2. I get Lord Mio. So yeah, I think that's key, and has faced some credible competition in the last few. We saw Ness's horses yesterday. Okay. They were ready to rock and roll.
Right.
I'm going to think this one's going to be ready to rock and roll. There's, doesn't have a slew of speed. That opening quarter of a mile is going to be key for Speak Unity. I do not want to see this horse hung 4 wide into the backstretch. He's got that steady run. He doesn't have like that big punch. We'll see if he can get position. If he does, I think he'll make a good run into the flow here. Burgee is a horse we have video on.
Yes.
Burgee holding the number off the claim, right? Claim for 25. Just got beat October the 15th, right? And man, how do you not win from here? Just spying the duel, just under a little bit of nudging here past the 5/16. Gallant Gold, dead game, gonna get a nose victory. We're gonna watch this from the top of the stretch to the wire, and man, this is what
5 wide.
Yeah, I still don't. I mean, he was free run. He got all the time in the world to get by, but Gallant Gold was just tenacious all the way through. And Gallant Gold has come back. This is what flatters Burgee, I guess. A 75 buyer, a 78 buyer, 2 consecutive, I think, seconds, runner-ups to 110, who we're going to see later in the stake. So he's trying here.
Right.
Gallant Gold just a little too good. Makes this one last little final surge. If he holds form, he's right there. He's going to draft into a beautiful position.
Right.
You've got a scratch of Award Wanted. there's not a ton of speed immediately to his inside. So when Lord Mio and Jason takes long, go out.
Right.
Again, should drop in and have a similar trip
Right.
as to what he had there at the mile. He's going to have to just take it 2 turns today.
Hopefully he'll be able to do that again. You and I both have the number 2 and the 5. The number 2, Lord Mio, as we mentioned, coming off, has had 2 wins. Came back off of a little bit of what I thought was a bit much needed layoff. He's a front running, but he's kind of a churner. He needs to be up there with it. Last time out, it does worry me a little bit that he just dropped off the face of the earth that much.
How about it? That really fooled me.
Right.
That was first time gelding off the break, and he ran huge. Ran a very big race, determined rebid. You see, all right, he's set up now. He's a different horse.
Right.
He went out, and they weren't going blazing. He got caught in a little bit of a battle, and absolutely spit the bit.
Yep.
That was it. Doesn't take a big plunge. It kind of holds around here. Has 3 wins. Inside speed at 1.16 miles. Third time gelding. I'm going to give him another shot today. I think he stays much longer this afternoon.
And I agree. And you get the drop down with Majestic Frontier. Why not? This is a horse. And we've talked about this horse. This horse is just a quirky horse. He likes to stay on that rail. He likes that rail position. So if he can it's all about whether this horse can get a clean trip, and meaning a clean trip, meaning the rail opens up. So like I said, this guy, he's just a magnet when it comes to that rail. So you have to include him because of the drop, but not completely trust him, which I don't for today. But race number 7. Howard and Sandra Bender Memorial Stakes. 7 furlongs on the dirt, 75,000. Big scratch in the number 3 where she told me to go. But then we also have another decent enough scratch in Twisted Ride for Michael Moore and Sylvester. So that horse was interesting. I had that horse underneath as well. Was interesting. So we both land on Monday morning QB. We might see William Humphrey getting his first stakes today, but
let's do the bugler.
Coming out of that was able to. So
Hello?
we're getting some noise in our earpieces, but we get a cutback in distance from that last effort back in early November.
Yeah, I think this horse is sharp right now. And
you have me, Darcy? You sure? Darcy, you got me out.
Hold on. I'm listening to the conversation. Good. It's good.
I know,
stuff.
it's great.
I
took my earpiece out. So
okay.
Let's talk. Yeah, back to Monday morning QB for Norman Cash and William Humphrey. Just sitting right off the pace. They took complete command of that, and I think it sets up for them. Just because I actually love the 7 furlongs for this horse today. If we get that kind of trip last time out,
he's shown sprinter speed in the past. 7-8 should be perfect for him. He's got a win and a third from 2 tries at this distance. I like how he rated last time.
Right.
Different kind of horse. Moved into a quick pace. Took the initiative, opened up, little drip, but turning back in distance should be perfect. You've got a bullet work leading into this, and that's kind of an indicator with these cash horses. They come in with these sharp works. We've seen it back on Eastern Bay and everything like that. They're going to be ready to go. He won 2 races, cash yesterday at square prices. I think this horse, when he gets lucky here with the scratch, he should be just right into the mix. Who's going to go to the front? We don't know. I mean, he looks like he should be put right into it.
He should,
I would think,
honestly.
And even maybe the other Norman Cash is coming back in 4 days, going to the lead, who's shown speed in the past.
They'll probably send that. I could see them sending that horse a little bit. I could also see them sending the Gary Cap, Jaron Barbosa sending Gary Cap's horse, especially on the outside. So that I see the 8 going, I see the 1 going, and then I see possibly the 5 going, but comfortable enough to just sit. Really, I feel like William has the speed, the pace wherever he wants him. He just needs to sit off of it, and that was just a wonderful ride last time out. We just need to see. All we need to see is a repeat performance of that, and I think this one, Monday morning QB's got it in the bag today.
Agreed. It looks like he's got him hedging back right to about as top form as he can get.
Right.
They figured something out with him. Always in a hurry. He's a horse that doesn't have a ton of natural speed. They have to stay after him. He's got a little bit of laziness through that opening quarter, 3/8 of a mile, but man, he shows some determination. He keeps on grinding from that 3/8 pole home. He should stay a little bit closer at the 7/8 against this field. Stays inside, stays ground, moves outside to inside. I do think he makes that punch into it a little bit sooner today. So he definitely has a shot in here.
Absolutely. Let's hitch on over to the Politely Stakes. Let's take a look at right away on the filly to watch. Feet Esprit, the number 6. You're outside. You're 3 to 5 favorite, and why not? Here's her in the Maryland Million Distaff last time out.
She got a great position here at $1.70 to 1, and just kind of was up early. Got Poe, and I was a little worried here at the 5/16 because X-Man kind of put her to a ride, and she initially just didn't take to it, maybe leaving the 3/8 to the 5/16. But then they get in rhythm. They come past the quarter pole, and she levels off, and it's over.
Well, that happened because he had to make a little bit of a spot for her.
Yeah.
Right after it, so she just kind of was like that was he asked, and she said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Okay, yeah." And then here we go. We got flat ears pinned flat back, and so she gained in making a move for herself. She gained a lot. I mean, she's such a titled filly, but she still gained experience out of that she needed to do. So I did love that move for her. But she gets the outside post. It just makes easy work for her today.
It should. Paisley Singing is going to be going. I would definitely think here. You got the scratch of the 4 Queen Sheba. She'll try to take it right from the get-go. 6 furlongs. That might be just a touch far.
Right.
I mean, her best, though, word is she's training great over at Pimlico. She's going to be put into the race, and I think VA Desprez is going to have to work a little bit maybe to get by her by the time they hit to the quarter.
Right.
I think VA Desprez is just going to be spying that speed.
Exactly.
Might be into it.
It's hard to knock against her. We also include the number 2 juror, the number 1 juror, number 4 Brittany Russell, Jeremy Rose. This one is going to be sitting back on the rail and just kind of Jeremy Rose is just going to be watching Fee Desprez and sit back, watch Fee Desprez, follow Fee Desprez. That's exactly how Jeremy Rose is going to be playing that. And, of course, Hollywood Walk for Mike Trombetta, Johan Rosado. This is another one that we go back to that mile effort back in June on the dirt, off-turf event, but still a fast track. Maybe got confident a little bit early, still got a bit game all the way through, just got beaten in that last little bit of it. We cut back in the 6 furlongs. That's the biggest question I have for her. But sharpening a horse up on the turf, going short on the turf, really sharpens them up. So I think that's going to transfer beautifully to the dirt here today. So I'm excited at a price of 10-1 to see what Hollywood Walk is going to be giving us today.
Yeah, she's a filly. It looks like she's got some talent, and that was her best race of late.
Right.
She got worked out a trip. You see that Raiden kind of eased out and kind of ground them down. She's going to have to improve. But she is getting better, and she might be able to get position and even get a jump on a horse like juror number 4 for that closing move into the speed here today. I'll go 6-5, 1-2. We'll see how far Paisley Singing can take them. VA Desprez just should be sitting perfectly poised to pounce outside.
Exactly. It's a race for second, I think, in this. That's where the real race is where you're going to get some action. But I think VA Desprez is the horse to beat in that race. In our nightcap in this maiden claiming 20 mile on the dirt, which is exactly why I go wide. This is both not only your value play, but Tim Tulloch's value play as well. Cool. In the number 7, Meet Me at Sunset, Mike Trombetta, J-Ron Barbosa, going to be. I mean, we're definitely going to be seeing improvement from that last time out.
I think so. There's some route in the family. It's a quick drop. The fact that Barbosa stayed. Now, granted, he doesn't ride a whole lot. Wally Nielsen coming in, a shipper. You want to keep your kind of. Keep your connections here, right? So he stays with the Trombetta horse. No run whatsoever at 8-1 in debut. He stays, though. There's dirt route in the family. I have a little stat here. Trombetta, 2-year-old maiden sprint the route in their second career start is 27%. 4 for 15, 7 for 15 in the money. That was enough because the rest of these horses I can't trust enough. Maybe Love You Mary Jane, though. She had an excuse. She kind of got stalled around the turn, slipped through inside, just wasn't quite good enough. That was a first-time Mike Girales runner, I think, coming in from out of town that ran very well that day. But, yeah, there's a little shot of some value.
Yeah, there's a lot of value here. I go with the 3, Itsy Bitsy Izzy, Jamie Ness, Jaime Rodriguez, just because they're on a roll. Why not? Especially that second time routing for them. Jamie Ness is 35% lately on that second route. It's 7 for 20, so I'm going to trust that a little bit. But that's our nightcap here, and that is our Friday racing here at Laurel Park. We're going to bring up a couple things to bring up in our lightning round in just a few seconds. Wanted to highlight a couple of Maryland breds, Maryland foaled horses that did well in some stakes, but Bourbon Bombay won the Cornucopia over at Parks, and then Coconut Cake was third in the Forever Together Stakes up in New York, one of the last turf stakes races I believe that they had that this past weekend. So just to highlight that, especially for Coconut Cake, just really keeping up with things. She was 12-1. She went off at 12-1 and finished third inside. The leader, Mr. Cars, just went ahead and went on with it. You couldn't beat that filly that day, but a nice, just still a nice contingency of Maryland breds still dominating on the stakes front, not only in Maryland but also throughout the nation. But let's talk about what's going on starting at 1 o'clock. It's Black Friday. It's Black Friday for the girls, but it's Guys' Day Out here at Laurel Park. We can make it fun for you guys. Bourbon, beer, and barbecue. 2 stakes today, of course, the Howard Bender and the Politely. A free, of course, $3 betting voucher to put in your money on those. A couple of interesting, especially race number 5. But Keith, you can win 2 tickets to Preakness 148.
There you go. That's where really, that's where the rubber meets the road. You want to get those tickets? Absolutely. Don't miss out. Preakness Stakes, always a great day. But take advantage of the beer specials, the food specials. And as everybody's out spending your money, as I'm sure my wife might be out a little bit with my daughter spending some. So I never look at the checking account. I don't even want to know what I have.
I was just taking care of some Black Friday deals right now, but we have certainly enough for everybody here at Laurel Park. And with that being said, talking about something for everybody, we got Keith's best bet and value play. Your best bet right now, Keith.
41. Cecilia Mike. Corrales going to be third time in the barn, and I tell you, I think this horse with a clean break gets position and gets back closer to that number. He showed 2 races back and rallies into it. Price play, we go all the way to the last, right? We're going to go to the 9th. Hopefully we don't need it. Hopefully we're sailing along and got some cash in our pockets. Meet me at Sunset. You heard the stat, 27% with this move with the 2-year-olds going sprint to route. Second time out for Trombetta.
Love that sneaky Keith Fusel stat that he's going to provide for us. But Dave Rodman is going to provide more for us with changes and scratches in just a second.
All right, good luck.